to Notts TV News. I'm Richard Spur. Your headlines tonight.
Local news.
Lord Chancellor, Justice Minister,
the proud voice of regions up and down the country.
and Michael Gove is in town.
Broadcasting from a small building in the centre of Nottingham, Notts TV News reaches more than 200,000 people across the region each week. And from their office sporting the station's Blue Duck mascot, the team describe their programme.
So different, informative,
fresh and factual,
energised
and local.
It all starts behind this door, room 1103, the newsroom. Leading the team, editor Mike Braithwaite explains how the newsday gets underway.
We'll come in at 9:15, decide what stories we're doing for the day, which hopefully sometimes can be set up, other times we just have to the journalists just need to get on the phone and chase. Then there'll be a moment of quiet in the office until about 2:30, when journalists will come back, edit their stuff together to really strict deadlines. And then at about 4:30ish we do a technical run through, make sure there are no glitches in any of the packages, do a script run through, and then go live at 5:30.
But like all local news, Notts TV suffers from the human interest story. And today, such a story is in the hands of video journalist Kate Chaplin.
So today I'm doing about the Nottingham Castle revamp. They've revealed their latest plans, and including artist impressions. It's been going on for quite a while now, so it's good to get a bit of an update on where it's at, because there's supposed to be £24 million in the mix to kind of make the whole project come alive, but the money is still not quite in place. They've still got a few bids in that they need to win before it actually goes ahead, so that's kind of where my angle is going to go in the piece. I'm going to be heading to the castle, speaking to the project manager of the whole project, a lady called Cal Warren. I'm also speaking to Councillor David Trimble, who's from Nottingham City Council. He'll kind of give me an overview on what it'll bring to the city, as well as I'm going to kind of push him on where the money is coming from and where the project's actually at.
But the big story of the day was Conservative MP and Justice Minister Michael Gove coming in to talk about the EU referendum.
If we leave, we take back control of the money that we give to the European Union. We take back control of £350 million a week, but we stay inside a free trade area.
The usual content for Notts TV News, though, is something a little lighter, such as this story about some police officers.
A van load of police officers were feeling peckish, so they stopped off at a city centre fast food restaurant, went in to buy some food. The only problem was they parked on a disabled bay, a fact that was recorded by a disabled person who wasn't very pleased. The driver of the police vehicle hasn't escaped the attention of his superiors, though. When the matter was raised with the constabulary, the police said that not only would the police driver get a ticket, but officers would all be reminded about their responsibilities when it comes to parking.
With that in mind, Howard might defend his use of the human interest story.
Human interest stories are exactly what we're about. I mean, I think that, people want to hear from other people about their experiences. I think that it's quite easy to follow a kind of press release story, to speak to the councillors, to speak to those sort of authority figures, but really to get down to the sort of the bones of it all, to speak to real people, to hear about their real experiences. That's exactly what we're about. I'd much rather hear from a struggling mum than a politician. You'd much rather have sort of stories that really affect people and why. And I think that can sometimes be missed in a lot of mainstream news. I mean, that's why, we will get people calling in saying, this has happened to me, this has happened to my relative. I think that for me anyway, as just a viewer, I'd much rather hear from a real person who's showing real emotion.
So would you say that the majority of your viewers would want to see a story that some would say is less newsworthy?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Sort of newsworthy. It's quite a kind of a buzz term, really, in the sense that what is news? Well, that's up to sort of us to decide. What that news angle is, what that line is. I mean, I think that I think that, yeah, on the whole, I think that people in the county do want to hear more from other members of the society, because that's exactly what Notts TV is about. It's going back to that whole thing of, yeah, I know that man, that woman on TV. I think that's what we want to try and offer as much as possible.
After Mike's unconvincing answer, Kate was now back from filming and was in the booth recording her voiceover.
As well as a new Robin Hood room, there'll be a visitor centre, a rebellion gallery and access to more of the underground caves. But the project isn't set in stone just yet. £13 million from the Heritage Lottery Fund still needs to be bid for.
As 5 o'clock approached, it was time for rehearsals.
A number for that terrorist expert.
What's his name? What's the great guy
Place.
who's the pinhead? Yeah. Can you tell what it is yet?
Rolf Harris.
I sat outside Rolf Harris's house. It is.
And heading up today's show is director Owen.
My friend Mickey, when we were little, literally used to sit with a TV screen like that. He's now a senior civil servant in charge of George Osborne. Notts Police have joined other forces across the country as part of a stop campaign to urge you to report terrorist material online. The forces have put a distinctive red button on their websites, which, when you click it, will flag up the content immediately. On average, more than 1,000 pieces of extremist material are taken off the web each week.
You're really sort of building towards a live programme at 5:30 in our case, when things really start to heat up a little bit, and you find suddenly that it's quite stressful. So during the day it's just staying on top of things and recording any bits that need to be pre-recorded, and ideally making sure that everything that needs to be in will be in come 5:30. And it's about confidence as well, I think, as a director. Even if everything's going wrong, you're kind of the person who it's on to find a solution, to press another button, to make sure that there's something to go to if something doesn't go according to plan, if it's short, if it's long. I report as well, and when I report, I go out and I speak to people, and I feel much more involved with the stories then. Sitting in there in the gallery, you don't get that quite so much. You're almost, you're in that little box, as it were, and you don't really make the contact. It is just a little bubble.
Before the broadcast, there was time for one last question for Mike. Notts TV News seems to feature a lot of vox pops, or voice of the people, as they're known. It's often alleged that these are used just to fill time in a bulletin, but do they actually contribute anything with that voice, or is it just their fill time?
Again, it's going back to that old adage of kind of hearing from normal people. Like I say, we're all about representing Nottinghamshire people, and I think that sometimes you can get some great characters, some great answers from vox pops. And
would you say that view is the same when you think of less significant issues, such as what the first record was people bought, and like how much they spent on Mother's Day, things like that, things that aren't really a subject in themselves?
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of more, again, they're kind of to spur on conversation themselves rather than to sort of uncover any kind of mystery. You know, they're much more kind of lighter subjects that we might chat about.
By now, it was time for the live broadcast. The studio was ready, the gallery was ready, and the clock was ticking.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Notts TV News. I'm Richard Spur. Your headlines tonight. Lord Chancellor, Justice Minister and EU referendum out campaigner Michael Gove is in town.
If we leave, we take back control of the money that we give to the European Union. We take back control of £350 million a week, but we stay inside a free trade area.
The latest look for Nottingham Castle's multi-million pound project revealed. After years of waiting, is it finally set in stone?
Also tonight, Notts United. Hundreds come together to offer aid to refugees in camps across Europe.
And with that came the end of the news day. And as light-hearted human interest stories were beamed into living rooms across the county, it seemed as though Notts TV weren't going to break the mould of local news programmes anytime soon.